Tone Travel Production. Baby, make if you want to, cause you're safe with me, so just stay with me. Oh, every day is like a holiday. Sleeping if you want, sit, relax, unwind, and kick back.
Bouillabaisse, but remember it originated as a simple Mediterranean fisherman soup, made from the day's catch or its unsaleable leftovers and flavored from the typical condiments of the region: olive oil, garlic, leeks, or onions, tomatoes, and herbs.
Hi, I'm AJ, and welcome to AJ Doing It the Keto Way. Today, I'm going to make what's called a bouillabaisse, which is a fish stew. But to start that, we need to have what's called a seafood stock. So what I have here is how I'm going to start the seafood stock. It's going to really start, I got here a pound of shrimp that came from HEB. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by peeling and deshelling these shrimp. They've already been deheaded, so this is about the size of it. So I start by peeling the shrimp. I'm going to peel them right into the container, right into this pot, because this is the pot that I'm going to use. I'm going to use this pot to actually start the making the stock. So I'm going to put these shells right into this pot, just like that. And then the actual shrimp itself, I'm going to put in this bowl separate from the pot, because that later will be used as part of the bouillabaisse as we make the stew. So let's continue to separate these here. All right, so as I continue to do this, I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to do it. There's one more. So I'm going to go ahead and start to peel all of these shrimp, put these shells in this pot. And once I've done that, then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you the next step of how to actually start creating the actual stock itself. So this is going to be the first step in the bouillabaisse, is making the actual seafood stock. What's happening? Okay, so once I have all these peeled, we're gonna come back for the next step, and it'll be in one moment. So you don't have to sit here and watch me peel all of these shrimp, because I have quite a few of them. So we'll be back in a moment, okay? Slice through it, and then turn it on the side like this, and then go straight through it like this. And that's an easy way to dice onion. Now remember what I said about using your knife as a scraper? Never use your knife as a scraper. Always use the scraper itself to pick up the items. I'm gonna go way over here with this, right into the pot. Now, I'm not gonna put too many ingredients in that pot, because I want it to actually be as pure as the seafood as itself when it's done. Plus, all those gonna get strained out, because you have to strain out the shells from the stock itself. So if I put too many ingredients in there, they're most likely gonna wind up going in the trash, because once I strain it, I don't need it anymore. It's gonna be disregarded. Okay, so while we have our fish stock on the stove simmering over here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna continue to prep all the other ingredients that we need to make this meal. What we have here on the table is we have the remainder of the onion that we took and chopped half of it and put inside of the actual fish stock itself. We have a clove, we have the actual garlic itself, like the head of garlic. We have a second onion here, but I don't know if we're gonna need that until later. And we have leeks. Have you ever used leeks before? If you ever use leeks, you know that the leeks themselves, once you cut them, they have to be clean because the leeks themselves have lots of like grit and sand between the leaves that get down in there. So once you cut them, they need to be cleaned in the sink itself. So let's continue up with the onion that we already chopped. Now, for those of you who know how to chop and dice, you just go right ahead and do your thing, because how you do it, that's how you do it, and how I do it, that's the way I'm gonna do it. So you just do you, okay? That's all I can say. I'm gonna finish up this piece here, just because I want it all chopped up nicely. There we go. Now you may notice that I have a plastic mat, which is actually a cutting board, on top of the cutting board that I'm using. And the reason why I have that is because this one here is a flexible cutting board. And what it allows me to do is take the ingredients themselves and put it right, my scraper, don't scrape with your knife, right into the bowl like that. So it just makes it a little more convenient for me. And so that's the only reason why I use it on top of my cutting board. I do believe that might be enough onions. Ooh, it's gonna make me cry. I think you have enough when you start to cry. Anybody knows a way to cut onions without crying? Put it in the comments below, because I would love to know how to do that. So next, we have to deal with this little guy right here, the garlic. A lot of people peel their garlic different ways. So as I previously said, you do it how you do it, and I'm gonna just do it my way. So I usually come over here, try to get as much of this outside paper off as I can. And usually the first few cloves are basically enough. Now, so, all right, so I usually do the smash version, okay? So even if you use your scraper so you don't mess up your good knives, put a piece of garlic on there right there and smash it. It comes right out. That's the style I like. Now this typically works great when your garlic is fresh, but if you got old garlic, it's just going to smash with the wrapper and it's not going to come out. So make sure when you do this, you got fresh garlic that you just bought, because the garlic itself is firm enough to crack the shell. Smashing. Smash it again and smash it right. There we go. Now see, some shells, they just take their knife and they'll smack it like that. Let's see, can we try that? Let's try. That kind of works too, but do you want to really do that with your knife? I don't really think I want to do my knife like this. Let's try it again. Well, he's going to keep rolling over. Yep, see, pops right out. But, like I said, I'm not going to keep on pounding my chef knife on the table. And that should be enough garlic, actually. But I do like garlic, so let's do one more. All right. Now, I'm going to show you something about one of these garlic, one of these cloves real quick. All right, so if you look closely at this piece of garlic right here, it's kind of spoiled a little bit right there on the end right there. But guess what? We're still going to use it because we're going to cut that piece off. We're going to take our little knife and we're going to just slice it right there. Remove that. The rest of the garlic is fine. Toss that in the trash, okay? And what I like to do also is take these little ends off, these little root bulbs right there, because you can't really eat that. So why would you want that on there if you're not going to eat it? So I just slice that little guy off. I do them all like that. Slice the little tip off the end. Just remove those little end pieces. Because we're not going to use those parts. Now, if you was just using it as a stock like in there, it wouldn't matter because you could toss the whole thing in because we're going to strain it anyway. But I got more plans for this garlic than just using it for that. As I said previously, always use your scraper. Don't scrape with your knife. All right, and in this garlic here, I'm going to take about 3 cloves, rough chop, and put them inside of the stock to start giving it flavor. That's good enough. We're going to take this, put it in the pot. Just get the flavor in the pot started. Let's put this into the stock pot. Bam! Just like that. Let's stir that in. So you see what we're getting here? The shells is already starting to change color. We got some onion in there. We got the garlic in there. And we're going to start simmering it down so that we can start getting all the flavors into the stock. Okay, now that we have a suitable amount of garlic in the pot, we're going to take the remainder of the garlic. We're going to chop it up real quick, just a rough chop, just so it's going to be ready for the rest of the meal once we start preparing and putting everything together. So what we're going to do here is go ahead and just chop all these large cloves up. Once I get this completely chopped up and ready to go, we'll come back and we'll start working on the leeks. How's that? Because the leeks themselves, they have to be chopped and cut also. Now, I know a lot of you people out there already know how to chop vegetables and chop your garlic and all this stuff. So if you do, just make sure you move on to the next step because this is what we're doing right now. We are chopping garlic. All right, so what it says is to use 1 tablespoon of this in the pot. So what I'm going to do right now is put a tablespoon of crab oil in here. Pretty much all we need. Set that down right there. And then this bag right that's here, we're going to take this, open it up, and this is it right here. We're going to take and put this right into this pot. Because guess what? We making our shrimp stock Cajun style. get it in there, get it stirred up in there. Now, while we do this, all I'm gonna do is, because I already know what I'm making, and I'm not gonna use this stock, because I already know what I'm making, and I'm not gonna use this stock for anything else. I already know that I can go ahead and start to season this and get it to my taste the way I like it. Now, when you're making your fish stock, you add the seasonings in there that you want to put in there and get it the way you like it, okay? So, I'm going to start with a little salt. Fresh ground Himalayan salt. And a little fresh ground pepper. Get that stirred in. Because I already, like I said, I already know what my sodium content is going to be. And right now, that is where I want it. I want that salt and pepper in there. Because once I start putting this meal together, it's going to need to have more flavor than that. Look at that stock. You see it starting to change colors? Starting to look like a seafood stock. So let's just let it do its thing. This is going to simmer for at least an hour. And while that's simmering, then we'll be preparing the rest of the dish, getting everything else prepped and ready to go. Okay, so including the two items that you just saw me put into the actual seafood stock, I have a variety of seasonings over here that I'm going to use. Now, as you can see, that the stock is starting to boil down really, really low and get intensified. What I have here is a vegetable broth, which is not, it doesn't have any meats or any other types of proteins in there. It's just vegetable. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit to the pot to bring the stock back up some. So, that being a seafood broth, what you want to, a seafood stock, what you want to do is, I'm using a vegetable because it's not chicken or beef or anything like that. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to start to add my seasonings that I want to, right here, usually I would measure out my ingredients, but for you, it's to taste. So I'm going to put a tablespoon of onion powder in here. Actually, that was all that was left in here, was a tablespoon, so that worked out pretty good. I have here garlic powder. I'm going to pretty much use the same amount. If I use a tablespoon of onion powder, I'm going to put a tablespoon of garlic powder also. Now, this is where you want to be careful. This here crab oil, it's really, really salty. And the thing about that is, not only is it very salty, but it has a lot of cayenne pepper in there. So it's not only salty, but it's spicy. Be very generous when you use this. So don't put too much, just enough to flavor it, but not enough to blow you away. So let's get this all mixed in real quick. We want this bag to do its thing and keep cooking in. What we're going to do is we're going to taste it and see where we at. Remember, whenever you're cooking, always taste what you're making. It's actually pretty good. Old Bay. Seafood, very good. We're gonna sprinkle a little Old Bay in there. Get the Old Bay going. You know what? I'm gonna use this side. Make it a little bit easier. Not too much Old Bay. Just a dash of Old Bay in there. And last but not least, hit it with that Creole, that Tony Satcherin Creole seasoning, because we're gonna make this Creole. Not more than a tablespoon, just enough, all right? And there you go. Let's just let this simmer down. And if we want it to be, if we want more, just add more of this, more vegetable stock. I think that's enough. All right, to show you how we're going to complete this in about 20 minutes, let it simmer for another 30 minutes or so, 30 minutes to an hour. We're going to come back, we're going to strain this down, and we're going to have our seafood stock ready to roll. Okay, so we're just about complete with the stock. So what we're going to do is we got two items here. We got a stainless steel bowl and we have a strainer. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and strain the stock, and this is going to be done. So let's go ahead and bring this over here. I'm going to take it and put it right through there. Okay, so all of this can be discarded. We don't need any more of this anymore. So we put it off to the side. And here's our stock. See how dark, rich, and brown that looks? That's what we're going to use to make our meal. That's our seafood stock. Okay.
Action.
All right, so what we have here are the leeks that we originally were looking at. And we're going to go ahead and take the ends off of these guys. The recipe says use the white parts only. So I'm going to cut it right about here. And we'll save this for later use. There's other things that they can be used for. Once again, I cut it right here. Now, typically when you cut leeks, you would cut them in half like this. And you'll cut this piece in half also. It's got some little seeds popping out of there. That's weird. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and put these in this bowl, take it over to the sink, and wash them. Once it's all washed, once I got these washed, I'm going to chop them up and they'll be ready for the actual meal. So just wait a bit and I'll be back after I've cleaned and washed the leeks. So I've already cleaned the leeks, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting these up as we're going to use them for our meal. I'm going to slice them up here. I'm going to slice them in large pieces. The next one out, slice it. Like I said, I don't very use leeks too much, so just doing it the way as I said previously, always scrape with your scraper. So let's grab the scraper, put this in the bowl. Okay, now that we have all our prep done, we got all our prep work done. We have our leeks, we have our garlic, we have our onions. The next step is that we're gonna prep our fish. And we got 4 different types of fish that we're gonna use in this recipe. Plus we have the shrimp themselves that we just peeled. So I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna grab the fish and I'll be right back, and we're gonna cut the fish up and get that prepped and ready also. Okay, now that we have the stew cooked down to a point where the potatoes are actually soft enough, we're gonna go ahead and add our fish. So here we go. Let's put this fish in here. Okay, so now that we've added the fish, we're gonna give this about 15 minutes to cook. Let the fish cook down, and the last thing we're gonna do is add our shrimp. After we add the shrimp, the meal is ready, and what we'll do is we'll actually prepare a bowl of this and let you see exactly what it looks like when it's done and ready. Okay, now that we've added the seafood, we added the shrimp, and it's actually cooked down long enough, it is now time to serve. I'm going to serve directly straight out of this pot here into this bowl. Okay, so here we are. That is a typical bouillabaisse fish stew. Take a look at it. Always gotta taste it. Very good. Thank you. This is AJ doing it the keto way. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that button for notifications when I post another video.
You just sit